we're out here. This is the field where the magic happens.
Benning Bites with Damon Benning. Benning Bites with Damon Benning.
Coming off a fantastic show with my partner, Ravi Lula. Another episode of Benning Bites. Talked about a lot. There's a lot going on. Nebraska's got a scrimmage coming up on the weekend. They've got the Big Ten crew coming to evaluate them, which is interesting because I watch those. I was talking about those on the show this morning. Who did I watch yesterday? UCLA. I actually watch them all. I record them. And I'm thinking, man, I think as a fan base, sometimes every time DiNardo and Howard and those guys leave, we're like, they say the same thing every year. We don't like them or whatever, right? And then it's like, wait, should I not be paying attention as much as I am? Because I kind of like the BTN camp visits. I don't know. I'm going to have to weigh that in my head. Do they know what they're talking about or do they not? Or do they only not know what they're talking about when they're talking about my team? I don't know. It's kind of weird. But coincidentally, we got on an interesting topic with Sam today. He said a couple things about Nebraska's offense, and it just sparked some other discussions about what it takes to play a playoff caliber offense and how you could recruit to it. And the more I started thinking about it, I think I only care about a couple of things, whether it's, and I hope it's not, like air raid versus whatever versus, single wing versus. I think the biggest takeaway that I had with Ravi is whatever the commitment was to it. I know who I want it to look like. If you'd have asked me 6 or 7 years ago in my former life, I said, I want Nebraska's offense to be like Georgia. And Georgia hadn't been winning national championships yet. They just were a team that they hadn't been real dynamic at quarterback yet. They were kind of searching. This was right before Stetson Bennett. And they had handoff run game. They'd get in some two-back. They took a lot of shot plays downfield. But then we saw in SEC championship games, it was about their skill. They couldn't get vertical enough in the passing game to get over the hump early on with Kirby Smart. But I didn't really back off that style of offense. And then you asked me again, or Ravi asked me again today, and I was like, I'd like to look a lot like Michigan. Because I remember doing that broadcast for the network, and I was talking to Sharpie about how a lot of what they do looks really, really similar, but I was pretty impressed with how the running backs were coached up and the commitment to style with their offensive line. And they had good players, don't get me wrong, along the offensive line. But I think I was enamored by the concepts more. And I watched them again against Washington over the weekend because they had the run of the playoff football games. And I'm thinking I wouldn't mind playing with a Michigan-style offense at all, right? Roman Wilson was a third-round wide receiver pick. I think I could live with Nebraska's guys getting drafted in the third round at the wideout spot. And I get it, right? Because I had some pushback on social media where it was like, well, you don't need to run the ball as much as you need elite-level wide receivers. The last handful of national champions have had a wide receiver that played in the NFL as a rookie. And I'm like, I get it, but when you get to that level, you're going to have good players anyway. Was the distinction that they played as a rookie? Because I look at 2013 FSU and 2019 LSU as kind of outliers for teams that didn't need to run the ball as well. Although I think the 2013 FSU team ran the ball pretty well. I would venture to guess that the teams that ran the football better, Washington had more guys get drafted at wide receiver than Michigan did. Washington had a trio. But Michigan ran the ball better. And you go back to 2014, and it was Zeke Elliott. It was Ohio State's ability to run the football better. To 2021, these teams, Georgia could run the football. And so I think in my heart of hearts, that's what I want to be able to do. Not only do I think it's easier to recruit to, but I also think it complements the way that I think Nebraska wants to play defense and what the conference is going to take in late October and November to win games, right? You can't always go on the road and play in Southern Cal and UCLA. Like Coach Foster told us, those are two schools that are located in Southern California. So what kind of offense does it take? We think we know what kind of defense it takes. And then that conversation morphed into special teams. What would we like to see more proficient? Was it if we had to pick one going into this year that ailed Nebraska? Is it the punt game? Is it punt return? Is it place kicking? And Ravi took place kicking, and I think I took the one that would probably be the least popular, but I think could have the most impact is punt return. Like if Nebraska could elevate their punt return game, can they go for 8, 9, 10 yards a return where once upon a time you were scared to keep it in bounds? Because I get like kickoff returns, you can kind of work around that. And place kicking is relatively easy to see because you know if it's good or not. The punt return thing is really sneaky, and it can sneak up on you. And it's the one way that you can neutralize these good punters, right? You guys know what a big fan I'm not of rugby-style punting. Well, why? Because it's kind of neutralized punt returners. It's changed the way that folks can do returns. So I think if I could wave a magic wand for this Nebraska team this year, I'd start with punt returns. Do we agree or disagree? Let us know. 888-638-4876. A lot in there. However you get us, we appreciate it. Apple, Google, Spotify, Twitch, Facebook, good old-fashioned AM radio. We love that. We're statewide, and we are here for you. Join us in the morning. It's another episode of Benning Bites.